Alright, what is up everybody? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. So, we went to Arizona for the Friends and Family Common Hype grand opening of their store. It's amazing. Shoot to a clip of the mariachis. Yeah, I know, fire, right? But anyway, so I pulled back. We talked to Brandon, Bryson, Drew, and Johnson all separately. I did like a mini interview with them because, you know, they haven't been traveling for a while. They have a whole bunch of new stuff planned, and I just like pulling them aside and like getting information from them, tricks, tips, and like the stuff that you guys want to know, right? So I feel like I asked a bunch of questions that you guys want to know. We're gonna start with number one. This is with Brandon, and then if you're clicking on the second video, you're gonna be watching Bryson. If you click on the third video, they're gonna be watching Drew. And then the fourth video, we're gonna drop these every single day, back to back to back. The fourth video is with Johnson. Reason why I'm saving that one for last, because no offense to the boys, but the one with Johnson was just so packed full of like sales tips, life tips, so many different things. You guys are really gonna enjoy that. Not to say that these videos aren't good too, but the Johnson one was really great, and you guys are gonna know why. But if you haven't liked, comment, subscribe, please do so. Go ahead and click that bell, notifications, all that good stuff, because you know, that's how we grow this channel, because we ain't quitting, baby. We going forever. We are going to be going to SneakerCon Arizona. We're going to be going to Boston Got Sold, and I believe we're going to be going to SneakerCon Dallas, Texas as well, so it should be pretty dope. Look out for that. Follow along with our journey. We are in year 2, season 2, and yeah, let's see what Brandon's been up to. And then if you're clicking on the second video, let's see what Drew's been up to. And if you're clicking on the third video, let's see what Bryson's been up to. And the fourth video, Johnson. All right, that was annoying. See you guys later. So this is cool. So we're in the Common Hype new podcast room or whatever. So you guys, they've been telling you about this, obviously. You know, they're gonna get to. So if you guys are following along with Common Hype, be ready for this, because they're not only gonna do sneakers, they're gonna talk with like athletes and other stuff like that. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to bring you in, man. So I just want to say thank you, because I know that you know, you are definitely a huge part of their family and stuff. And so bringing it in, it's just been so cool to watch the videos come along, and then like, I watch every single video that you're in for sure, because I know I can get the most, like, no offense guys, whatever. Like, I want to get like, so like how I'm pricing stuff, where I'm going to be sourcing stuff, where the market's kind of going. How did you get such a firm grip on that? Because like you don't know, like store, when did you start doing that? How did you just like really get a firm grip on sneakers?
Well, I think the fundamental business practices play out in anything that you're doing. Sure. It's the whole concept of buy low, sell high.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's where it goes. And then as far as the sneakers, there's just an absolute just interest in sneakers.
Right. And you in love with sneakers too, yeah? I mean, you're a sneakerhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the core of it that allows me to, the more time I spend in it, whether it be analyzing certain things in certain colorways, there's just a love of sneakers that makes it easier to spend the time in it.
Definitely. Okay, yeah, so that's one of those things too, where it's like if you're doing something that you like already, it just makes it that much easier, right? Just to kind of...
I think so. Yeah. I think a lot of people have jobs and they don't really have careers. And so if you define a job as like, hey, I just go to perform a duty to get paid so that I can, you know, pay rent and do the things to live. You know, I would define a career as something that you are passionate about doing, that you enjoy, and that you just happen to get paid for it. So
so this is why I want to sit down with this man. It's just morsels of knowledge over and over and over again. I love you so much. You have no idea. So I was talking to this dude out here today. We're going back to that. Some people kind of get down on themselves about that too. It's like, oh, I didn't take the risk. But it's also, I want everybody to know too, it's like sometimes you have to do what you have to do until you do what you're meant to do. I really believe that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're in a position in life where it's like, hey, I got to make money for the bills. I got to support my children. I got to do this. So right now I'm going to do this until I can do what I'm meant to do. But that also comes with saving, putting money aside, investing in other stuff instead of taking that extra money that, you know, you make and blowing it. Correct? You know, would you agree?
Yeah.
Yep. So, but back to the shoes, man. Like because do you always, I watched on one of the videos you said you were going to get like a car, right? Or like you were going to do a car, but instead you got sneakers, and then that's kind of how it started. Like, I'm just so curious on how it started. How'd you end up with so many shoes in your basement?
Yeah, it starts with just, it all starts with just let's just start with the love of silhouettes, Jordans, colorways, differences in the shoes, sneakerhead, however it's played out or how it's used in terms. There definitely is that in what I do, but people will say, hey, when did you start collecting them, in a sense of grabbing more and more? And you know what, I just growing up, working hard, having your own business, I never had the money, or never chose to take the extra money that we had as a family and put it into, let's say, sneakers or cars or different things. So the money was always kept in the business to continue to create more business. So you know, we made income, but we didn't have the extra cash to do it. And with a large family, 7 kids and stuff, we just had better things to spend the money on. Later in life, it became to where we had the money to do some of that stuff. I thought about doing cars, and just got away just didn't do that, because I'm like, gosh, I'm gonna have like 2 cars.
So you're a guy that
and then I'm gonna be like, well, that red one's not cool anymore. I'm gonna trade it out. And then my son just offered up, hey, what about shoes? And then looking at him, it's like, man, you got all kinds of different styles of cars, all different kind of colors, and it's respectfully $200, $300, $400 a shoe. I can have a lot more in a smaller area.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So it's like, instead of looking at 2 cars, you could look at 500 pairs, right? You know
I mean, in its simplest form, absolutely. And then it's just the love, and you meet people around it. And I'm telling you, the amount of people that love shoes or want to talk about shoes, just in a networking business standpoint, I think, not to say, but you'd be surprised, but I was surprised. And so that just continued to become more and more fun for me, because I don't try to take my shoes stuff I do and play it into my business. But if people want to talk about it, or recognize that I'm wearing a Jordan 1 Low neutral gray and ask me about it and interact, it's surprising, because a lot of people are like, hey, can you get me those? Hey, I would love to have those.
Okay, that's funny too. So, and how are you dealing with your newfound fame?
All the time. Well, look, in a reality, anybody who says they don't enjoy it is just absolutely crazy. I try not to bask in it too much, because respectfully, pride could get at you, but it's enjoyable. It is absolutely comical with my family and stuff that they do, but it is it's a lot of fun. But it's really it's about the boys. It's about their brand.
And you're doing nothing but help it. You add to it. You're not taking anything from it.
And as long as I can add to it, I'm going to be a part of it. The minute that I start taking or whatever, I really just don't want to be. I got to pull myself out, because it's really about. It's about them. It's about pushing them forward. It's about taking things that I've experienced and trying to share it with them. And they want us. They have a humble attitude. They want to learn. They soak it up, and
that's so important.
I've learned a lot from them though too. So people will say, "Hey, you've done a lot for them. They've done a lot for me." When you get around young business people, it inspires you as an older business person to kind of open your mind to the younger generation, how the younger generation can carry us forward, instead of being like, hey, they're not going to be able to do something. The fact of the matter is, the younger generation is going to do it, regardless, and they're going to do it different, and they're going to do it just as successfully, which is really, really cool.
Definitely. And I really like watching it too, and like going back to how humble everybody is. I know they hate it when I say this too, but I started talking to them because I sent them 150 pounds of pancake mix.
Remember that?
You know what I mean? And so it's like the fact that you kind of, they hit me up and do whatever. I haven't like done that with other people, obviously, but like, you know what I mean? There's just one guy, because I've just been watching them, and the fact that you could become like friends with somebody if you reach out, it's just like so important for people to know that a lot of people don't put up these big houses around them. If you're sincere and you know what I mean, you're a good person, you could go meet. Don't be afraid to go up and talk to half these people, especially what we do with sneakers, right? Like, I mean, it's been so fun and so cool, and just the growing on all of it. And if you guys watch a lot of Common Hype's channel, you're gonna know, like, if you need a lot more of the advice of selling the shoes, which ones to get, stuff like that. I think I've rewatched your first one in the basement like 3-4 times. Just, and sometimes I use it for motivation too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, today I had a slower day at the shop. It's like, what do I need to do, or which shoes should I have more of, or this and that. So I was talking about that to them, and I really hope you guys do more of that. You know what I mean? It's really cool. And then also, I talk about this on my channel time to time. Like, you're obviously a man super strong in your faith, and that's amazing. I like to think that I am too. You know, and being a part of that and being able to collide it all together, it's just like, it's really beautiful. And I think there's a reason why we're all here. We were all here yesterday. You know what I mean? So it's just been a really cool experience, and I want to thank you too for always being super inviting and giving me 5-10 minutes of your time and stuff. It's been really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking. But you said it earlier. I think that people look, talk is cheap.
Sure.
And a lot of people that look at, let's just call it success, because it's people look at success and they want to talk about how they want to achieve it instead of just sitting and working to achieve it. Yeah. And I just think that, like, look, if you're thinking about, like you talked about earlier, like, hey, I have a job. There's a lot you can do outside of a job. And I talk about in our business that, look, I pay you to do the job that we have at the business. And let's say that's 45 hours a week.
Right.
And you're going to put everything you have into those 45 hours a week. I really don't want you to work more than that. What I want you to do is that if you can imagine spending 15 hours a week on yourself, learning something, advancing yourself, you can have a job for 45 hours. There's a lot of other time to do a lot of other stuff. And if you break down the things that you spend time doing, you'll probably realize that you're doing a lot of stuff that's not advancing you. It's not helping you learn anything new.
Definitely.
You're talking a lot, you're gossiping a lot, you're spending a lot of energy on relationships you shouldn't. And I just think there's a point of where you can spend 15 hours a week, which is not a lot of time, and learn something new or continue to learn something in a core competency you have, and just expand yourself and go beyond what you're doing and not talk about it.
Yeah.
Just take action. And even the boys will work.
Mm-hmm.
They work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I think that's phenomenal. But at some point, how can you do 80 hours in let's say 55,
right,
and then spend additional time, what they call is like working in your business and then working on your business?
Right.
And I think that's what just separates, what you could say, the men from the boys, the women from the ladies. It's just certain people know what to do with their time and can really expand their knowledge and expand their capacity.
100%. No.
And it's huge.
Beautifully said.
And I don't care if it's shoes, I don't care if it's real estate, I don't care if it's stocks, I don't care if it's business.
Anything. Yeah.
It's really anything.
It could be your body, your health, you're lifting weights, going to the gym, anything, you know what I mean? If you're trying to beat some sort of sickness, anything, you know what I mean? Like, all that extra time, you have a lot, especially, and I'm not
There's
sure.
a lot of time in a week.
There is.
If you think about how much time we spend respectfully wasting watching YouTube and things like this, respectfully, and stuff that are not educational, are not really helping you learn anything. There's just so much time for us to really expand what we are. But I also encourage that, like, stay within, like, a core competency.
Okay.
Like, to know 8 or 9 things a little bit ain't gonna get you anywhere.
No.
To know 2 or 3 things really well and really deep and be separated and excellent about them, that's really what separates you.
Definitely.
So take 2 or 3 things, dive into it, things that you enjoy, learn it, surround yourself with people that know it better than you.
Yes.
I mean, that's how I got the Common High Boys. I
right.
evaluated the Arizona and saw that Brandon Yamamoto was one of the most influential sneaker guys in Arizona, and I chased him down. Ended up buying a couple $1,000s worth of shoes with him just so he would spend time with me. And
and that's what I do every time I come in here. I do the same thing.
Yeah, because there's a strategy.
For sure.
There's a strategy. It's not that hard.
No.
Life is not that hard. We like to make it a lot harder than.
Definitely, especially when you have a schedule. Yeah, we all do it. Like, especially if you have a 6 to 2 job. Like, if you actually have a schedule, then it's even more. It's even easier for you to make time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because a lot of us, like with my shop, my doors open at 10. They close at 9. Like, so, like, that's my window, right? So, like, technically, if I'm there all day, my day's shot. But if you have, like, you know, a 6 to 2 or a 9 to 5 or whatever. Yeah, talk about all the extra time you do have. You know, family's very important. Being with your wife, kids, all that stuff, that's actually added stuff. But I think if you're a kid right now, there's no reason for you, with all the tools, this thing right here, you know what I mean, to be able to do something with it is just huge, you know what I mean? And so that's why I'm pushing on my kids more, and so, but yeah.
Well, parents are holding back the kids.
Yeah.
They're holding back the kids. They, you know, 15, oh, it's too young. It's not too young.
No.
You know,
in other countries, they're having babies and wives, and you know what I mean. And stuff
well, we go back in history.
Yeah.
We go back in history. They're doing a lot more at 15 than they are today, and so I think we're all. This is a society thing, but we're holding back the younger generation. You know, we need to push them forward. Let them take chances. Let them try to buy and sell shoes. Let them fail so that they can succeed and learn.
And do it now too.
You know, and parents, if your kids are taking an interest in some of this stuff, lean in a little bit.
Right.
You yourselves learn it a little bit so that you can come alongside them and teach them what it is to buy something low, sell something higher.
Right.
Love to sell more than to buy.
Okay.
Talked about that, right?
Yep,
you know, we talk about these stores and everything, and we can go buy all this stuff. Well, that's great. Well, how are we going to sell it?
Right.
And how are we going to sell it for more to then pay, you know, employees and pay rent and make profit and pay taxes.
Yeah.
And paying taxes is a beautiful thing.
Yes, and that was another thing. Everybody's so afraid of taxes, and I love that you said that in that one video about, okay, tax bubble. It's like, hey, if you got to pay taxes, that, for one, that's a great thing. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you're making that income, but also it's like just keeping track of, I don't know. Taxes have never scared me, because when you file it, you put it in, they're going to tell you what you owe. People are putting so much emphasis on taxes and this and that. Yes, obviously, you can't avoid them. Two things in life you can't avoid is IRS and God. IRS and God, my two fears.
That day.
Yeah, and literally those two things. But like, you know, and then your sales tax, that's one thing. You collect it right there from the customer, blah blah. But yes, like, so you said it really well on taxes before.
Well, if you're paying taxes, you're making money.
Right.
And everybody wants to build a business that's worth something. In order for a business to be worth something, it has to generate profit and taxes, and that's how a business is evaluated.
Yes.
It's based on the P&L, the profits, and then you're going to ask for a tax return. You're going to want that tax return to match up with the P&Ls.
Yep.
So if you really talk about business and talk about acquisitions and buying and selling a business, it's absolutely about profits and making money, because your business isn't worth anything if it's not making money, and you have to be able to substantiate it to legitimize it. If you also want to grow your business and give it capital to just let it take off, you potentially will have to go borrow money from a bank. You can't go borrow money from a bank if you don't have generated profits and showing that you're paying taxes and making money. And those are the things that I think people respectfully just get so focused on the tax that they miss the fact that they're just, and it's okay to keep a business and keep it small.
Sure.
Okay. You can keep it small.
Okay.
But if you really want to expand a business and a brand, that you're really going to have to, you know, not worry about paying taxes and worry about, you know,
gotcha.
You know,
100%.
Cooking the books, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
You're going to want to just be legit, go forward, because then you can use other people's money in order to fuel the business and grow it. And eventually at one day have something that's worth something that you can sell.
Right.
And move on and do something else, or.
Yeah, and then this is also a stepping stone, you know, with sneakers and stuff. Like, I don't want to say it, but there's a lot of fads. You know what I mean? Like this clothing brand, we've seen it, right? Yep. This clothing brand will be a brand for a while, then boom, it's something else. This shoe is going to be a thing, then boom. New Balances were nothing, what, 6 months or a year ago, whatever. It's always something new. So it's like when you take it, like the money that I'm making now, like I also want to try to invest in, like, it's always been a dream of mine to like own a McDonald's or something, right? Something where I know people are going to always eat. You know what I mean? Something in that nature, because it goes back to what you're saying. Like if you do it all the right way, you can have investors use their money to grow your business and, you know, go in there. So,
well, you know, the boys and I talk about the sneakers are a means to an end.
Yeah.
And so they're a means to an end to create a brand or a merch or whatever, but then also about owning commercial building, or let's say you want to own a franchise like McDonald's or some other franchise or some other business.
Right.
If you're not gonna legitimize the business by putting together real P&Ls and generating real tax forms and paying taxes, you ultimately are not going to be able to legitimize and build yourself into those types of kind of empires and legacies that you can pass on to generations and generations within your family.
Right. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. You know, right? There's, when you're rich, you know, it's like you can lose that in the summer. But when you're wealthy, that is something like what you just said. You pass it on through generations to generations.
Yeah. And it's easier to pass on buildings and things like
Yes.
that than businesses. Businesses are very hard to pass on through generations. You just do the research.
Right.
Businesses typically either some generation pass it down to generation, and the business can absolutely take off, but it's a dime a dozen.
Right. Well,
it's under 10%.
It needs to be their meaning in life almost. You know what I mean? Because it has to be what they wanted to do.
That's
because
right.
Nobody's going to take over something and do it with that type of passion if they don't want to be there.
That's right.
So that's great. This turned into a whole other video, by the way. This is just a whole other awesome video. Thank you so much for this. Is dope. This is what people want to hear, you know, and I know that's why those videos that you guys do get a lot of the views, because this is what, you know, when the people are really serious about growing business or growing sneakers or growing anything, this is the stuff that really needs to be said and be put out there. Like, don't be afraid of taxes. Like, grow, grow throughout other means. Gosh, you just hit on so many things.
Yeah, and look, I may not know. I mean, someone could be watching this and go like, "Oh, he's full of crap and everything," and you know. I got it, but
sure.
But I've just taken my experience of what I've done, and I'm just continuing to learn and continuing to move. And these are the things that we've done successfully within our businesses and within our family. And all we're doing is just trying to share it.
And don't stop learning, right? Never.
Never.
No matter how old you are.
I don't care how old you are.
Yep, never
and
stop.
people say all the time, Johnson, when are you going to retire? When can you stop working? I won't.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that you can create enough knowledge and share enough stuff and continue to learn that, you know, I could do this into the grave.
Right.
And the whole idea of retiring and sitting on a beach and doing that stuff, those are things I can do in a week or 10 days.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to get back to taking a responsibility, steward the responsibility that we believe that the Lord's blessed us with.
Yes.
Because we have a responsibility. Mm-hmm. And if that means sharing with people that have an opportunity to do some really cool things in business, I want to be a part of it. I want to love sharing that knowledge, you know.
Amen to that. So that is that's really cool. I thank you again.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
So sick. Thanks so much.
For coming. Thanks for taking care of the boys.